Welcome to the Fit Life Orange County podcast. I'm your host, Jake Stewart. In today's episode, we sit down with Barbara Kirk, who talks about her fitness journey, and holy smokes, get your notebooks out because this is a really awesome episode. You're going to be able to take lots of awesome notes and hopefully you'll be sharing it with all your friends. Without further ado, let's jump into it.
Here is Bryce Henson and Jake Stewart, your host of the Fit Life Orange County.
Welcome back to the Fit Life Orange County podcast. Today we're sitting down with Barbara Kirk. She's going to run us down on her fitness journey and her lifestyle. I'm super excited for today's episode. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. Barbara, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I am very excited to be here, Jake.
Well, we're excited to have you here. So to get things started, just kind of let the audience know a little bit about you. Give us your bio, give us a little bit about your history. We're really curious to learn a little bit more about Barbara.
Well, I grew up in New York City, in Manhattan. And I went to school at Bronx High School of Science, and then I went to St. John's. But, you know, I was never much into, like, sports. I mean, certainly in high school, you know, everybody played, you know, some volleyball or some basketball, but there really wasn't any sport that particularly appealed to me until later on. And the thing that I found about the New York lifestyle as I got into my 20s and a little bit into my early 30s before I moved to California was that, you know, a lot of people went out at night at 11 o'clock and then they came home at 5 o'clock in the morning and then slept until 1. And that really didn't line up with kind of my fitness goals. You know, since a kid, I was always an early riser. I wanted to, like, you know, go out for a run, those kinds of things. And it was, I do remember after I had moved out of New York City and Queens and then was living down in Princeton, New Jersey, I do remember one night that during the winter that I really wanted to go out for a run. And I remember putting on like 2 sets of sweats and a scarf over my face so I wouldn't get runner's lung. And I was out there running and I was thinking, you know, there has to be a better lifestyle than this, you know? And I didn't realize that in 1983, I was going to get a job offer in Silicon Valley that was going to relocate me to the San Jose Bay Area for a job in the computer industry. And I had spent 10 years in the computer industry in New York City and then another 10 years in Silicon Valley. And I do remember when I would travel from Manhattan, from Princeton into Manhattan on the Amtrak, I had a lot of time to, like, peruse magazines or read a book. And I saw one day a spread in a magazine about some women that had started weight training. And there was something about the way they looked. They were toned. And they didn't have big muscles, because I think a lot of times women have this, like, oh, I work out, I'm going to get big muscles and stuff like that. And they don't really understand that we don't really have the testosterone, you know, to look that way unless you're doing something like steroids, which I don't think anybody really recommends. But I really liked that they looked lean and they looked strong. And so I think it was the late 70s when I joined a local gym in Princeton, and that was all the way back in the days of Nautilus equipment. And I started on Nautilus equipment. And then I think it was fairly soon after that I discovered free weights. And that felt to me like, okay, I'd never had a sport that I was interested in, but this was something that I really liked. And I worked out in, you know, nice studios. When I would go to the summer in the Jersey Shore, I worked out in a, you know, like a weight room with, like, in a garage or whatever. It wasn't fancy. And, you know, women are looking for empowerment. And I have to say, next to Jesus, there's nothing that is more empowering to me than working out, and specifically being strong and lifting weights. And that's always given me a sense of, you know, of empowerment and feeling strong, and it makes me feel confident in those kinds of things. And I think, you know, in my corporate time, yes, did I did I become a boss lady or whatever? But you know what? That never gave me the sense of empowerment than being in the gym did.
That's so awesome. There's a lot to unpack there, but I'm actually curious, and I kind of want to ask a follow-up question. Coming from like the 70s and 80s, you were right. The workout mentality was definitely different, and a lot of times, especially females, felt like they can't go to the gym. Maybe it's scary to go to the gym, like the times when like Arnold Schwarzenegger was like big in bodybuilding, and big bodybuilders were kind of like the front end of fitness. A lot of people didn't really realize like all the good benefits of going to the gym. I'm just curious, kind of how you felt when you first started. So you said it was in the 80s that you started going to a gym.
Yes, late
kind of
70s.
like, how did you get past those kind of like, societal norms of like, oh, it's a place for the guys go to get big and jacked, how did you get past that, like as a female going into the gym? I'm just curious kind of if you could elaborate a little bit more on that.
Well, it's really kind of interesting because back in the 80s, people were going to the gym to meet people.
Oh, yeah.
So there was an aspect of that. But I never felt intimidated.
That's good.
I never did. And, but there was, like my idol back then was Miss Olympia, was Rachel McLeish, who won, 1980 Miss Olympia, and I actually was there for that.
Oh, wow.
And so I embraced it, and it's something that I loved. And you know what people say to me very often, well, what workout program should I do, And I'm obviously a very strong proponent of Mission Viejo Fit Body Boot Camp. But I do say to people, do what you love because you will continue to do it. Because a lot of times nobody feels like it. But one of the, I think I have embraced throughout my life is that self-discipline is one of those secrets to success in life. And I do find, though, that now that here's the big reveal, my age is 72, and there's a lot of people that don't know how old I am.
Well, you carry it well, let me say that much.
Thank you. And my philosophy is that I'm aging gracefully, but I'm fighting it every step of the way.
Totally.
Through fitness and there was another point that I wanted to make. Oh, somewhere in my 20s, it was very strange. I had this thought, and it was, I'm gonna live to 100, and so I better take good care of myself. Now, I have no idea where that came from, because I didn't really know God yet, so I don't know, he didn't whisper it in my ear, I don't know, but it just seemed like it became kind of a foundational principle kind of to guide my life. And I think that anybody who's dedicated to fitness, there are going to be times when you're not working out or you're working out less than you really need to, and certainly I experienced that. But when I got the opportunity to move to California, I really jumped at it because I knew then I could get up. I used to, at the company that I had joined in 1983, they had a locker room and showers, and so I would go run at lunch. And I got up to about 5 to 7 miles.
Wow.
And I didn't really have any desire to go past that. But we were running on concrete, and that's kind of a little hard on the body.
Definitely.
So, but the weights was always my thing, and I do remember in 1988 and early 1989 when I was pregnant with my daughter. I was in a club, which literally I joined when I got off the plane in San Francisco. I went right to Santa Clara and I joined this very nice upscale fitness club. And literally the first thing after I got off the plane. But anyway, so I was pregnant, and these are just some of the memories that linger, and I was kind of like on an incline bench, and I was pregnant, and I said, excuse me, and I was lifting like 20s or 25 for biceps and stuff. Now I can do 15s, and I'm working back up. But I remember saying to somebody, excuse me, could you hand those weights up to me? And then I would do a set, and then I would drop the weights and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just something that that I always really loved.
Totally. There's something that I kind of wanted to hit on, and it's something you mentioned a little bit back in the story. You said the word self-discipline. So you said the word self-discipline. Now, it sounds like, you were growing up in New York. It was the cold winters, but yet you still went out and you went running. Like, even though you were pregnant with your daughter, like, you were still going to the gym and you were still working out. I'm just curious, how do you find your self-discipline, and how have you maintained that self-discipline into your 70s, which is incredible? Well,
I think it's, everybody has choices to make in their life. And I think that it's the results. It's the, not only just looking the way that you want to look, but it's being devoted to your health, because every choice that we make has consequences, and that's, whether you drink or choose not to drink, or whether you do drugs or you choose not to do drugs. My drug of choice was endorphins. Nothing could compare to that feeling that I had, when I finished a workout. In fact, just last week, I was one of the great workouts. Maybe it was usually I take Saturday, Sunday off, and then I'm back Monday. And Monday morning, I think it was last Monday, I came out of here with like raging endorphins. And I was just, I was bouncing, and I stopped at Trader Joe's on my way home, and I bounced in, and I got up to the checkout counter, and I saw a guy that I usually see when I come in, and he's like, "Whoa, girl, you are coming in way hot this morning." And I realized that I just had this effervescent and just positive attitude. And I think that, when so many people deal with depression and anxiety and things like that, that one of the best antidotes to that is exercise.
Definitely. Well, wow, that's a lot of great information. Like, I know a lot of people are sitting at home and going like, holy smokes, like, I wish I could be as energetic as Barbara here, which is super awesome. And I mean, it just comes down to like, hey, you just get in, you're consistent with your workouts. Like, that's really, really the bread and butter of it, is just getting in and being as consistent as possible. And I know you don't really stray from your consistency. You're here at the same times every week, all the time, which is so awesome. And it's obviously showing. Like, I know you've had great results since you've been here at FitBody. But let's segue into that, actually, is kind of like, tell me a little bit about your FitBody experience specifically. So I know you've done a lot of free weight training and stuff in the past. You've gone to an array of different gyms, so what's different about FitBody? What are some of the things you like about it? Kind of how did you find us? Just run us through that story a little bit.
Well, I think the most significant thing here is the sense of community. And the weightlifting experience was very isolating. You're in the gym. I was, 2 hours a day, 30 minutes on a treadmill, which was so boring, and 12 sets per body part. And I have to be honest, at my age, I don't have where my time is spent, gig work, transportation type job, and then also doing childcare for one of my grandkids. I just don't have it to be able to do that kind of commitment anymore. And so I was really looking for an alternative. When I saw the your advertisement or whatever, lose 10 pounds or,
totally.
And I thought, what have I got to lose? I'm going to try it. And I think one of the things that people learned out of COVID was the isolation for a lot of people. I didn't actually adhere to that isolation much, but I did it very safely as much as possible
totally.
with friends that were trusted. But I think people learned that isolation could be very, very damaging to people. And I also just moved down here in May of 2021. So it has taken some time to get to know people and make friends. And I'm also single, and I'm happy being single. But I did find that sense of community here. And I think the first day that I came, one of the gals here, oh, you're new, or hi, and I think it was Karen, and then, we just had a nice short little conversation, and then, she went to leave and stuff, and I don't think she realized I had tears in my eyes because I needed that sense of community.
Definitely.
And I think a lot of people do, and I think that classes provide that, and I think that's really, really important. And the sense of, I'm wearing my shirt, FitBody, family is because it really does feel very much like a family.
Totally.
And that you're seeing a lot of the same people. And you're right, I am consistent. Since I started on April 24th, I average 5 days a week. And typically Monday through Friday, take off Saturday and Sunday. I think my body does need 2 days to recover.
Definitely, everyone's does.
But I find the high intensity interval training is I get my weights in, but I'm also moving.
Definitely.
And I think that's super important because just being on a treadmill for 20 or 30 minutes was just so boring to me. But here I'm combining those activities, and I have to say that I think this is one of the most efficient workouts that I've ever done. And when I was going to a big gym kind of off and on over the last couple of years, you'd think everybody's working out together, there's camaraderie or whatever, but there wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I found like the mean girls from high school, at those classes, and people were like competitive over a spot or whatever. And it just, I didn't leave with a good feeling.
Definitely.
And I certainly do that here. And I've never been in an environment where there were so many high fives. You and Coach John and Coach Kellen, you're all making the rounds and stuff. And the other thing that's really valuable is when you guys come around and make modifications to our form. Because as a former bodybuilder, I know how important form is.
Definitely.
It's not like when you're doing bicep curls, you don't want to be, doing this with your body because you're not getting you want to isolate the muscle and you're not going to get that benefit. And so I find that it almost starts to feel a little bit when you guys are coming around and doing that, it almost feels like I have a personal trainer.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we call it. We do call it personal training in a group setting.
In a group
setting. So it
setting.
cuts down the cost because we all know going to a personal trainer one-on-one, it's $100 per session or $100 a week, and it's very expensive. We drive that cost down by bringing the personal training into a group setting, but also being in that group too, as you said. That's really what some people need. You are definitely not the first person to ever tell me, and I've even felt it myself going to a big box gym where you do feel isolated. Unless that's your jam and you like just working out all by yourself and you have the motivation and the willpower to do it on your own, you got to find somewhere where you can be in a group. And whether that's a small group of maybe 5 or 6, or even like our sessions that we have here at boot camp, there are 20 to 30 people and it's rocking and we have the music up and it's 30 minutes, it's high intensity, we're moving.
Exactly.
That's awesome, but it's just a matter of kind of finding what you like. And I'm so happy to hear that you found what you like here at boot camp.
Yes, and the high fives and the welcomes when we walk in. It was the sense of community that I really needed. And it's the I do wake up at 6:30, but I'm out of the house by 7:30, 7:45, and I'm here pretty much religiously at 8:15, and or earlier, so we can do the warm-ups and stuff like that. And then there's a little bit of a cool down. But when you're facing a 30-minute workout, it doesn't feel so overwhelming. I remember thinking, oh God, do I have 2 hours to get in the gym? No. But you know what? Anybody can make room for a 30-minute workout with 5 or 10 minutes of warm up and cool down.
Definitely. Well, I couldn't have said that better myself.
Coach Bryce here. Now, you might know me as the co-host of this podcast and the owner of Mission Viejo Fit Body. But what many people don't know is that began my fitness journey as a fitness transformation. Now, you see, circuit training and nutrition coaching absolutely changed my life after being overweight with a diet of mainly fast food in my late teens. Now, upon my fitness transformation in early 2007, yes, I gained a much better physique as I was overweight and I lacked lean muscle. But way more than burning fat and building lean muscle, I increased my self-confidence, my energy, and my vibrancy to live life on life's terms. Now, it's for these reasons that many people join our boot camp. Now, in fact, with our Ultimate Transformation Program, we guarantee, yes, guarantee, that you'll lose at least 10 pounds within 6 weeks, or your program is free until you do. Now, go ahead and visit our website at missionviejofitbody.com. Now, thanks, and back to the show.
Barbara, segueing into the next portion of this, and I'm sure a lot of people sitting at home watching this interview, seeing how lively you are, how amazing you are, and how you've kept yourself in such good shape. what's your diet look like? Like what's the nutrition look like to you? What are some things maybe that have worked, maybe some things that haven't worked? How do you keep yourself in such good shape and in such a great frame of mind? Like in addition to obviously the workouts, you get the endorphins and things like that. But my guess is you're not eating large pizzas and drinking a gallon of soda every day.
No,
Yeah.
no. I cut out soda probably at least 30 years ago.
Wow.
And that's when I spent some time in a multi-level marketing that happened to have a nutrition line, and they had great training on that. And when I heard the words 40 to 60% of cancers could be prevented with proper nutrition and supplementation, I heard that, and that landed. And so I've tried to improve that over the years. Just refresh the question. I think
totally.
I got a little off track
all
there.
good. No, actually, you were like kind of segueing right into what I was speaking to.
Oh,
was
but
just
the
curious.
food.
Yeah, just kind of like what does your nutrition look like? Not specifically like exactly what you eat or things like that, but
Well,
like how do you base your meals? Kind of
Yeah.
thing. Do you eat a lot of meals in the day? Just kind of a little bit, because like I
Yes.
said, there's people at home that are sitting there like, oh my gosh, like how does this lady do it? Like it's
Got
crazy.
Got it. Well, I had done a competitive Bill Phillips Fit Body for Life back in the late 90s. And that's where I learned about macros. And, excuse me, and I am kind of a numbers girl. All my friends know that I love Excel spreadsheets. And so I do remember putting out a spreadsheet. And, there's a lot of great apps that will help us these days. I certainly use my Fitbit for steps, and it calculates my resting heart rate. But I developed a spreadsheet that, and one of the good things that you guys do is when we got started, and I think I've done one since, is you have a machine that does complete body composition.
Yeah, and body scan. Yeah.
Body scan. And that was a little disappointing in the results but you know what? I measured my waist. I think I've lost like 5 inches in
That's
my waist
awesome. That's
so far.
incredible.
So, but I went back to my macros, and what I did was, in your body composition test, you have a number that says this is your basal metabolic rate.
Yep.
This means is that if you eat this many calories, this will maintain your weight. So what I did is I tried to design a food program that was about 100 calories less, so that I figured over the week that would be, I'd save maybe 700 calories, and then with my workouts and stuff, then I'd start to see the results in, because I've spent most of my life probably, if you add the 12 pounds back, I was like 30 pounds thinner. And so I really kind of want to get back to a place of where I used to be in terms of fitness. And so I actually have a spreadsheet, and I use the app called MyFitnessPal, which tells you how much protein, how many carbs, how much fat. So I pick the calorie count, and then what I use is 35% of those calories come from protein, 35% come from carbs, and about 30% come from fat. And that's not extreme in any way, shape, or form.
Definitely.
The one thing you don't want to do is to go into any form of starvation mode, because I learned from my old bodybuilding days, it's that you can't lose fat when you're starving yourself. If you're starving yourself, your body will store fat.
Yep.
You will not lose fat, because when the body thinks it's being starved, it saves the fat for the long term, because it doesn't know how long it's going to be hungry. So you have to eat protein. And I handle, everybody's body's a little bit different, but I handle protein very, very well. And so I pick, a lot of foods that are high in protein. So for example, before I come and work out, I will have a half a cup of low-fat cottage cheese.
Boom.
And, and then I eat it maybe, 30 minutes before I come in here. So I do have something in my stomach. And then when I get home, and, maybe a little bit later, I will have 2/3 of a cup of egg whites. And I will have something that Trader Joe's has. It's something called cauliflower slims, which it's like a bread substitute, but it has protein. It's had about 9 grams of protein in each one of these, and I have 2, and I put a little bit of organic hummus on it because it's not dry, and I have that with my egg whites. So those are kind of like 2 small morning meals. And then I will make myself for a third meal a protein shake, and with protein powder, and I'll also use your everyday greens. So I get some greens in there, and like a teaspoon or half tablespoon of peanut butter, creamy peanut butter, and that's where I get some of the healthy fats. And then that'll be like a third meal. And then in a few hours, I will typically have like an organic banana, and what else? And a protein bar, because it's got 20 grams of protein. And it's the protein that makes you feel full.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's why, even though I'm eating only like 1,200 calories or 1,300, I don't feel hungry, you know, because of the protein. And then I will either eat in the evening. It could be like a grass-fed beef, like slight, 3 or 4 ounces, or it could be chicken, or I'm a big fan of like turkey meatballs. Nice. And then my dessert for the day is a Greek yogurt and organic blueberries.
That's awesome.
So, and for people that are craving sugar, I strongly recommend fruit, not, sugar and candy and those kinds of things. And have I ever eaten fast food? Yes.
Totally.
But rarely. But I think, fast food it's quick and it's convenient, but it's not, it's not the most healthy.
Yeah. Well,
So,
holy smokes. Like, I think you're coming for my job, because everything you just said, like, hopefully you guys at home were taking notes. If you weren't, rewind this episode, go back about 4 minutes, and then just take down notes on everything Barbara said. And it's so true. Like 90% of Americans are deficient in protein. Most people don't eat enough protein. We overeat on carbs and fats.
Yes.
And we totally undereat on protein.
That's correct.
Then everybody wonders why, why can't we build muscle? Why can't I get stronger?
Right.
Why am I not losing fat? It's because all you're eating is fat and carbs. You're not eating enough protein.
That's right.
And all those things, all those examples of food that you just gave, like, is perfect. And it's impressive to me, because this is something a lot of people struggle with, is the amount of calories you're eating. You said it was about like 1,300 calories, which is a pretty low amount, but you're still getting your protein in, which is awesome. So that's usually a lot of times people say like, I have a really hard time getting my protein in with a lower amount of calories. And it's like, it just depends on your choices.
Your choices.
Yeah, it all depends on your choices.
Exactly. We all do have hereditary issues. And I think it was on my father's side, he had kind of high cholesterol, and I've inherited that, even though I don't eat a lot of it. But I keep it under control with niacin. But after I saw that, I was like, wow, this is, and so when anybody has a picture of, like, a friend on Facebook just posted, like animal fries and, and double, and they said, oh, what do you think of this? And I'm thinking, oh my God, they think they call it fast food because it's the fastest route to a heart attack.
That's funny. That's a good way to say it.
It really is. It's not healthy. And, but I do have to say that being healthy does require, you have to put your money into your health.
Definitely.
But the one thing that being fit really, there's not in my program, there's no room for alcohol. There really isn't, and I know that there's a lot of people that have a glass of wine every night or whatever, but the rule is for women, if you're drinking more than 1 glass of wine every day, you have a problem, and for men it's 2. And America, in my personal opinion, America has a problem. In general,
definitely.
With alcohol,
I
and
think
it's a lot of empty calories.
Totally, and I think that could be also carried over, like, not even just for alcohol, for things like fast food too. Like, that could easily be interswapped. Hey, if you're having fast food more than 2 or 3 times a week, that could be a problem. Like we should be substituting for whole foods and things like that.
Exactly.
And yeah, maybe there's a time and a place. Like every day having multiple of this or that. I'd say the same thing. I wouldn't advise anybody to have multiple cheeseburgers in a day,
Right.
or multiple pizzas in a day. I would never advise
Right.
that. So I think it could easily be carried over. And it also just comes back to something that you said earlier at the very beginning of this one, was your self-discipline. Just having the self-discipline to realize what it is that you're putting into your body and realizing, like, hey, is there any benefit to putting this in? Or is it just going to taste good for a couple seconds and then end up holding me back in the long run?
Well, and it's even more than that, because I think people don't understand the future cost of their bad decisions.
Definitely.
If you have a heart attack, if you develop cancer, sugar causes cancer. And and if you have to go through a cancer battle, the cost is outrageous.
Astronomical, yeah.
It's an astronomical. Yeah. So my feeling is spend a little money every week, or even for some people, who think that they don't have the money. But if you look in their grocery cart and you see how many bottles of wine they have.
Yeah.
Or you see that I think the number is reduced, but there are a lot of people that are still buying cigarettes. Like, I don't even know what the cost of a carton of cigarettes is, but it's ridiculous. And people need to make, a long-term decision to their health. I'm proud to say that I'm not on any big pharma medications. And unless I have if I've gotten bronchitis or I'm wheezing or something, I'll take an antibiotic. But other than that, I think that's the way a lot of seniors end up with a nightstand with seven or 9 medications. And they take one medication to fix something that they actually they might be able to fix with proper diet and nutrition.
100%. Like it's a well-known fact that it's expensive to eat healthy and work out, but it's even more expensive not to.
Exactly.
The average American that's overweight pays thousands of dollars more in healthcare costs.
Yes.
And maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but over the next 20 years, you're going to pay astronomically more in healthcare costs by not making these simple little changes earlier.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I live by that.
Yeah.
And you really can redirect your dollars away from the unhealthy things.
Totally.
And direct them towards more healthy choices.
100%.
And it does, at this point now, I have a daughter and a wonderful son-in-law, and I have 2 beautiful grandchildren, and I want to be around for them.
Yeah.
And I need to tell the grandparents out there, you need to be in shape to take care of your grandkids. They will keep you running and gunning. I mean, I've had, particularly when you have a boy, my first grandchild is a darling little boy. He's now 3. But, and so he tends to now stick closer when we, we went to the zoo a week ago, and he kind of, stayed by me. But when he was like 18 months, some of these, they're runners,
Yeah.
you put them down and they take off, and then you're chasing. Like, I do remember running full out, trying to chase this kid down so he wouldn't end up in the, in the street or something like that. And that's actually was one of my motivators, that I want to be around, not only, for my family.
Definitely.
And for my grandchildren.
Yeah.
And I'd like to be around 18 years from now or 15 years from now when they graduate from high school and
100%.
stuff like that.
Yeah, that's totally true. And it's just one of the facts of life. As you age, you really need to have that muscle mass. Like, I'm not saying, again, you don't need to be Mr. Olympia or Mrs. Olympia. It's all good. But you need to have that muscle mass. I mean, as you age, like the older and older you get, I mean, something as simple as a fall, or something as simple as not being able to get up off the ground, those are the kind of things that could be like life-threatening. That could be a life-threatening thing. And it could be prevented if you just took some time, did the little changes here and there, was consistent with your workouts. We have an awesome program here at FitBody called FitBody Forever, which specifically helps the 55+ community, which is really awesome. It's a little bit slowed down version of boot camp. We really focus on just muscle building, lean muscle, and gaining mobility. And I can't tell you how many lives have been changed just from that. I'll use Denise as a great example. She was on the podcast just a couple of months ago. She actually just turned 70, so we're kind of almost in the same age age as you.
Right.
And she's lost like 100 pounds over the last couple of years. She's like made this really, really awesome change. And she's saying she can do things now that she wasn't even able to do 10, 15 years ago, when she was in her 50s and 60s.
Right.
So shout out to Denise, obviously, I love you, and I know you'll be watching this episode. But yeah, it's so incredible, like to see someone like you that carries, your 70s so well, as opposed to someone that doesn't take care of themselves. So, they're not able to keep up with their grandkids. They can't go on that family vacation. They can't do all these things, and it breaks my heart. It absolutely breaks my heart. Because I love going to see my grandparents. It's awesome. I love going to like places with my parents. I love doing all these things. And it's only because they keep themselves healthy. So that's super duper important.
Well, the point also that you made about bone density, we all lose bone density from the time we are 30. And yes, I do take calcium twice a day, but lifting weights is one of the primary ways of building bone. And I know that on my mother's side of the family, there was osteoporosis, and God bless my mother, but she was a little roly-poly, 5 feet tall or whatever, and she thought if she ate ice cream every night, that would be enough calcium, but it wasn't, and she got osteoporosis, and so did one of her sisters. And that's when those people, as they age, they start bending over and stuff like that. And I had read that statistic a while back. So the only reason that I haven't gone too much in that direction, I have just a little bit, but I'm holding because of weight training.
Yeah. Well, holy smokes, Barbara, this has been so awesome. There's been so many great value nuggets that I'm sure our audience can pick out. One last question for you before we wrap our episode for today is, do you have any advice for someone that's sitting at home, maybe they're kind of like how you were before, you got back into fitness or before you joined FitBody. They don't know if they can make the switch. They've been thinking about it, but they haven't done it yet. Do you have any advice for that person sitting at home that just needs that extra little push to kind of get into a gym and get working out and get healthy?
Just do it. Your life depends on it. It really does. Your life depends on it. And one of the other things that we learned from COVID was that 78% of the people that died were in an obese category. And so when we say that your life depends on it, it really does. It really does. And as we said, the future cost of healthcare, all those bad decisions will catch up with you. So, but there is nothing more, coming here every morning is the thing that I look so forward to. It's kind of like, it's the best way for me to start my day, because particularly women, we wake up, we have a lot of words to use. And I find coming here and, just chatting briefly. Now I can't chat through a workout. I'm pretty focused. I'm like, if you see me, I might look serious because I'm counting how many reps did I do. Counting 1, 2, 3. How many reps on this side? How many reps on this side? So I'm thinking about that stuff. But the family atmosphere and starting to get to know people has just been so invaluable for me. Particularly because when I moved here, I just really mostly just knew my family, and I've been trying to expand, my social circle, as well as getting fit. And there is, I just think that the 30 minutes of high intensity interval training is the most efficient workout that I have ever done, and I can do it at 72. And yes, do I modify a little bit?
Yeah, totally.
I absolutely do, and nobody judges you. Everybody comes in here at different phases of their life, and at different weights and things like that, and nobody is judging you, and everybody is going to be uplifting and encouraging, and it's a fantastic atmosphere. And I think that that's what you need to do. And it's not at I don't think it will blow out your budget. I think it's a very reasonable weekly fee, and I've embraced it, and it's just a priority.
Definitely.
You know, because I want to be around and I want to be healthy, and I don't know if I'll make it to 100, but you know, I think I've always said, you know, like I said earlier, you know, age gracefully and fighting it every step of the way.
Well, I absolutely love it, Barbara, and I think you're going to make it there. You're definitely going on the right track. But thank you so much. This episode's been so awesome. You helped a lot of people I know are going to watch this episode.
I hope
and
so.
they're going to make a change to their life, and it's going to be because
Please make the decision. Make the decision. You know, maybe you just need to start walking gently or whatever, and then, you know, make this, you know, when you get a little more comfortable, you're ready to come in here. But there's pictures on the wall here that of people that have lost 100 pounds, you know, or 70 pounds or 60 pounds or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I have like, you know, 30 pounds,
Definitely.
you know, 35 pounds or so. But there's been plenty of people that have started here that have, you know, lost like 100 pounds and things like that.
For sure. Yeah, it's possible for anybody.
So it's a fantastic program.
Well, love it, Barbara. So with that, thank you guys so much for watching today's episode. If you got value from this episode, be sure to like, comment, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and even better yet, if you got value from this and you know somebody out there that could benefit from Barbara's story, please send them this video, share it on Facebook, share it however you can. We would really appreciate it so we can continue to produce this product for free for you guys. We absolutely love it. We'll see you guys in the next episode.